Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cold War Prepper. My name is Lee. Let's see what we've got here. It doesn't look like we have anybody on the live right now at all. Sorry for my voice. So anyhow, tonight we're going to talk a little bit about some things to do before, during, and after a volcano. And just wanted to get some thoughts out there. Gosh, things are really ramping up. I don't want to be a fearmonger, but I totally believe in what's called fifth generation warfare. And so one of the things that the two Chinese colonels talked about in their book, gosh, and I forget the name of the book. It was such a great book. And hello, Stray Kitten. Great book. I loaned it to a friend of mine, the St. Vincent de Paul. And then he loaned me a book that I'm reading of his. But anyhow, on fifth generation warfare, hello, Diana, too. What they talked about was the fact that they're going to do things inside the United States that would disrupt us and totally destroy us eventually. And we would not be able to tie the dots together. So, if you take a look at it, the low estimate is 10,000. The high estimate is somewhere around 80,000 unaccompanied military-age males, dressed very well, no evidence of having trekked across the southern deserts, showing up at the border crossing and being allowed in the United States. So we've probably got anywhere upwards to 80,000 special forces, Chinese, here in the U.S. And we take a look at a lot of these things. Mitch J, hello. Lisa B, hello. We take a look at all these different things. Butch, welcome. They're going on. You say, my God, these just don't make sense. So we had that tanker, or not tanker, but we had a semi catch fire underneath the span of I-95 in Philadelphia, and that totally disrupted that. So I-95 was still shut down at that point. Today we had a train derailment in that area. We're seeing train derailments near critical infrastructure so that we have toxic things going into our rivers and streams. Things are looking strange. That's all I'm going to say. Things are looking strange. I'm reading Franklin Horton's book, Borrowed World, and really great comment in here. It's the story of a bunch of mental health people. I keep thinking of Prepping with Sarge. These are people from Southwest Virginia, and of course he's in South Carolina. But they're mental health professionals, and they went to a convention at the state, and then of course the very thing we're talking about. Only Franklin Horton uses Muslim terrorists, and but we're talking about Chinese terrorists probably doing it, and but everything is so similar, and so one of the things is the main character in this book is a fellow, I believe his name is Jim. And he's talking about how he's paranoid, and one of the other mental health therapists tells him, it's not paranoid if they really are out to get you. And so just remember that it's not paranoia if they really are out to get you, and that's just the way it seems it is. But anyhow, I wanted to talk a little bit this evening, and I'll show you the relativity of this here in just a minute. We've had some really unusual seismic activity over the course of the last, I'm going to say 72 to 96 hours. We've had a lot of really unusual solar activity. Now, I said that once before, and somebody really jumped on with a bad comment, a nasty comment about there is no proven link in between solar activity and tectonic activity. And yet, suspicious observers came out with, the day after that, he came out with 3 or 4 different papers that have been done here recently at tying solar activity to tectonic activity. And so, plus you have to realize that our magnetic pole is shifting, our magnetosphere, if you will, that protects the Earth is diminishing. So a lot of weird things are happening. So I think that's why it's kind of necessary we review what's going on with tectonics. And now tectonics can mean 2 things. It can mean earthquakes, and it can also mean volcanoes. So the two of them are directly tied. Mary Greeley News, watch her. She does a fantastic job of showing things. She was showing we had a 7.2 earthquake about a little bit over 36 hours ago up in the Aleutian Island chain. And she was showing how that earthquake 7.2 in the Aleutians basically jostled the lava in Yellowstone. And so, there is a direct correlation on Mother Earth. Things go around and everything else, and it's unbelievable. So one of the first things I want to do is let me get here to show screen, share screen, and I want to share screen. And the first thing you want to do is I want to take you to Windy. So if you would, there is a program, windy.com, and I would like for you to take a look at that. And so what we see is right now, I'm just going to use Yellowstone as the primary example. We've also got the Long Valley caldera over here, but right now, the Yellowstone is primarily up right around in here. So the reason I want you to take a look at this daily, this is one of the first things I do when I get up, is I want to see what is the direction of the wind, the overall wind direction. For two reasons. Number one, if a volcano erupts, if Yellowstone erupts, then what is the ashfall prediction and how is that going to affect me, etc. Number two, what is the wind direction? Because if we have a nuclear event, and let's say that something happens down here in Houston, well, here's Houston, and I'm about right here. So, well, maybe here, okay? So if anything happens in Houston right now and it's a ground burst, then that radioactivity, the fallout is going to come due north. And I'm over here. So I'm pretty much sheltered from that. I'm not sheltered from San Antonio, however. I'm almost due north of San Antonio. Likewise, if anything happens up here in the northwest corner of Wyoming, up here where Yellowstone is, if we take a look, the prevailing winds are coming from west to east. And then we've got a conflicting winds coming up here across the Dakotas, Nebraska, and it's going from southeast to northwest. So there's going to be a clash in here. So all that ashfall is going to primarily be focused in this area, at least for the first 24 hours. Now, the second thing that I would like for you to do is take a look at some of the ashfall predictions. So that what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this, and what we see here is these are some of the ashfall predictions based upon typical prevailing winds during certain times of the year. So what we can see is the West Coast is going to get some ashfall, significant ashfall, if Yellowstone erupts either in the winter, or they are going to get some if it happens in the heat of summer over here. But in spring and fall, the West Coast is pretty much safe because that prevailing wind is from west to east. Now, to the opposite of that, in the winter and summer, here, me in Central Texas, I'm pretty safe from ashfall in summer and winter. However, in fall and spring, I have a significant amount of ashfall that's going to be coming my direction. So those are two places I would like you to look, windy and then ashfall predictions. The next one I'd like to share with you is what's going on around the world. So we do have a major 6.6 happening down here in Argentina right now. Anything in red is in the last hour. So we see that there's a new earthquake just popped up here, and that is at 2.5, 7 miles or 7 kilometers northwest of Pinnacles, California. I can almost tell you this right here has got to be it's going to be either south of White City or north of Toya here in Texas. So let's see what that one is. That's north of Toya. And there's another one underneath. If we can touch that one, there we go. And that's south of White City. So what is White City? White City is Carlsbad Caverns, one of the largest cavern systems in North America. So that's a built-in fault line that goes through there. And of course, you've got a whole bunch of oil drilling and everything else there. It's releasing normal pressure in the Earth's crust, and that's causing things to happen. Now, while we're on this USGS map, what I would like to point out is the North American plate. So it appears that the North American plate is that's this area here. Okay, it goes all the way up to Greenland, comes all the way across. This is Kamchatka, This is Sibir or Siberia in English. So part of Russia is in the North American plate, and it dips down right to the northern edge of Japan. That's included in the North American plate. So now we see the ring of fire. So this is the ring of fire here. So you're going to see significant earthquakes and tectonic activity, especially over here in New Zealand, in Samoa. You're going to see a lot of it here in Indonesia, Borneo, Irian Barat, Java, Sumatra. Of course, one of the largest volcanoes we had was Krakatoa, and that was in between Java and Sumatra, right about here. So there's Sumatra there, and there's Java, so it's going to be right about there. Then we also see that Japan is very earthquake prone. It's right here on the boundary line, basically, between the Eurasian and the North American plate. And then it comes up across the Aleutian Islands, where we had the major earthquake yesterday. There was a small tsunami warning as a result of that earthquake yesterday. They were predicting 0.5 meter, so that meant tsunami waves of about 18 inches. And then we can see that it's coming on down here across the Pacific plate and the juncture with the North American plate. As I said, the North American plate is moving southward, and this is kind of static. Okay, so that's kind of where we are with all of that. And I hope that gives you a little idea about what's going on there. So we're going to stop sharing. We'll go back to the screen here. Okay, there we go. So who else has joined us here in the meantime? Dutch Sense, Diana too, is, so there are a couple that I just have to watch. Dutch Sense for earthquakes, volcanic activity. Mary Greeley does a lot of really good stuff. She specializes on Yellowstone and Long Valley Caldera. Then there's Suspicious Observers. He's out of Phoenix, Arizona, and he is a solar activity specialist. And so every morning about 7 o'clock, he puts out a 2 to 3 minute, 4 minute video on all the different things, sunspots and everything else. We are going to be hit with an M class spike this evening, but it's going to be a minor one. So, if you look for that X40, like they had back for the Carrington event, that, he'll let us know a little bit in advance, but only about a day. That will give you a little bit of time to get some of your stuff into a Faraday cage. Thank you, Little Lone Prepper. I really, really greatly appreciate that. Yeah, if you would also put up Dutch Sense, and Diana too has his name spelled correctly there, and then Suspicious Observers. Those are two great channels as well. There's an inactive volcano that has just become active again in Europe. And so we're seeing a little bit more seismic activity in Europe. There is fear. If you take a look at the Venetian, not the Venetian, what is it? It's the, it's the bay where Mount Vesuvius is. And those are, and then you go west. Gosh, let's get that. Let me get it here for you real quick. Maps.com. Italy. So I'm looking up a map of Italy, and we're going to go here to just south of Naples. Okay, so if you look in the little gulf right there, let me go ahead and share this. Let me get back to here. So I have to go here. Then I go to StreamYard, and then I'm going to share again. And share screen. Okay. We're going to go to maps. So if we look here in Naples, so this is Pompeii, and of course this is Vesuvius here. And so here's Pompeii here, and Naples is here. They've got a previously inactive volcano that's starting to spew up right in this area, just northwest of Naples. Of course, if that blows, then Naples is gone, as well as most of the area here. It's called the Gulf of Naples, so that makes sense. But anyhow, so they've got, that's acting up. They've got current activity in Greece. They've got activity in several different areas that we haven't seen in the past. So there's a lot of tectonic activity. It's relatively recent. That's, we have to take that into consideration. So let me see. Thank you, Little Lone Prepper, and hello, Triple G Farms. Always good to see you, my friend. So let's talk about what are going to be. First, let's talk about the overall effects of a volcano. Well, number one, you've got the pyroclastic flow, which is basically what killed all the people in Pompeii. And that's that hot gas that comes down and it gets in your lungs. It just kind of consumes you with fire. So it's extremely hot gases. That's going to be confined pretty much to the immediate vicinity of the volcano we're talking about, whether it be Long Valley, St. Helens, Mount Rainier, any major volcano, to include Yellowstone. So that pyroclastic flow is going to be number one. Number two, it's going to spit all kinds of volumes of ash up into the air. They say that when Krakatoa blew, that was the year without a winter. The year without a summer. That the ashfall was so thick around the world that basically England stayed in winter type conditions because the sun couldn't get through the haze of the ash down to warm up the country of Britain. So they say it was the year without a summer. But it's going to produce massive ash clouds, as I showed you. The ashes are going to cover most of the United States. And then just think about what are the effects of that. So number one, darkness. You got to have something that you can see with. So that's going to be greatly reduced visibility. It's going to cause a lot of respiratory problems. You're going to want to stay inside. So that's going to be an air quality degradation. The ash and volcanic gases are going to lead to extremely poor air quality, making it extremely difficult to breathe. Let's extenuate that a little bit more. Okay, not only for humans, but for all of those animals that are outside. And remember, most of our food production is outdoor crops. So the cattle, Wyoming cattle, Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Texas cattle, they're going to have this ash in this silica, basically, kind of like a glass that they're going to be breathing in. And that's what most of them die from, is the internal hemorrhaging, because the silica cuts into the what are they called, vesicles, I guess, of the of the lungs. Oh, by the way, speaking of stupid lung stories, I've been coughing up a storm, and I thought it was just another typical upper respiratory infection. My wife said, "Why don't you go to the doctor? Go to the doctor. Go to the doctor." Well, last Monday I had my every 6 months pulmonology appointment, so I went to see my lung doctor. He said, "Yeah, let's take a look at this. This looks a little bit more different." And so I had a low-dose CT scan done Thursday. They sent me the results on Friday. I have pneumonia. So, of course, I'm taking doxycycline and prednisone. God, I hate prednisone. It seems like you taste prednisone for 48 hours after you take one, and they just kind of build on each other. Of course, it also affects my personality. So if I do weird things or say weird things, I'm going to blame it on the prednisone, okay? Let me see here. Yes, they are, and just people, instant death is what it was. There's a ton of dinosaur bones here, then rock that appears to be, I guess, from geologic shifts. Not sure about volcanoes. Arrowheads everywhere here too. Wow. I don't know if you know it or not, Triple G, but I went up to Waco, and there is one of the largest Mastodon, woolly mammoth, grave sites in the world. 7 large mammoths just west of Waco. Some kids were out hunting copperheads, and they saw this thing, and they thought it was a human skull. And so they came out. The sheriff's department said, "No, it's not a human skull." So they called the archaeology department at Baylor. At Baylor. Baylor went out and took a look at it, and it turned out that it was the hip bone to a mastodon. So then what they did, they started digging, and they found 7 more. They found some saber-toothed tigers. They found all kinds of things. So yes, we are a very prolific archaeological source here in Central Texas. A lot of different things that are out there. Wouldn't that be nice, Stray Kitten? I'm trying to think of what I can do to help animals. Can I put up any kind of a shelter? Can I put up? Can I give them water? What can I do? But when you get down to it, they're going to be inhaling the silica, and it's just going to be a matter of time. So we're going to have a major, if there is a volcanic incident of major magnitude, something like Yellowstone or Long Valley, we're just going to be pretty much absent any wildlife in the U.S. for quite a while. Hello, homeless in America. Welcome. I would love to do that. I would, especially the horses and the cattle, and deer, and oh gosh, anything. All of God's creatures deserve to live. Okay, so number 3, acid rain. When you have all this stuff going up into the upper atmosphere, you've got the sulfur dioxide from the emissions. You've got other chemicals that are going up there. The predominant thing is going to make is sulfuric acid, and that sulfuric acid, of course, comes down and you can eat through things. We have seen other volcanic activity where the sulfuric acid has been at such a high concentration that dams within a vicinity of around a 25-mile radius, the concrete is basically being chewed away by the sulfuric acid. So we know that the sulfuric acid in high concentrations around volcanoes can be very detrimental to a lot of things, especially wildlife and things that we might want to preserve. Infrastructure, aquatic ecosystems, all those different things. There's going to be ash accumulation on roads and runways, and going to make them impassable, disrupting transportation systems. I want to add another dimension to that. Your internal combustion engine. So if you have an electric vehicle, you're good to go. You just have to worry about the dust on the roads. If you have an internal combustion engine, it's just like those animals. It's got to suck the air in order to mix it with fuels in order to have the combustion, which causes, the explosion causes the piston to move, which causes your engine to have its cycles and everything else. So pretty soon, you're going to have so much silica ingested through your air filter that you're either going to clog your air filter to the point to where it cannot function and you're not going to get any air mixture in with your fuel, or you're going to allow the silica through the air filter, and that's going to get inside your engine. Then all the oil in the world is not going to be able to help you from the damage of the internal silica rubbing against your piston rings, your pistons, and your cylinders. And it's just going to be terrible. Well, I'm allergic to azithromycin, Diana, too. So that's my, so whenever instead of a 5-day regimen of azithromycin, I have to take a 10-day regimen of doxycycline. But one of the nice things about both Contingency Medical and Jace Medical is when you talk to your doctor, when you tell them things like I'm allergic to azithromycin, they put in a double dose of doxycycline for me. So I was really, really happy with both of those companies for doing that. Of course, we're going to have power outages, transformers, any moving parts, anything that has to, and so you've got the power generators, which are turbines. And now that can be powered either by steam, from any kind of a heat source that produces steam. And then you've got the steam going through and turning the turbine. You've also got hydroelectric power. Now you're going to have an awful lot of asphalt falling into the water. So the water's going to turn to mud. So that mud is not going to be able to cycle through the dams and produce the amount of electricity that we're normally accustomed to. So you got solar, right? Well, now you've got 6 inches of volcanic ash on top of your solar panel. So you've got to, how do you get that off so that the sun can see your solar panel? Plus, you've still got the high ashes aloft. So, we're going to be in a world of hurt power-wise if there is a major volcanic activity. Of course, all the crops are going to fail along with all the wildlife. So let me see here. Eye irritation, skin issues. As a matter of fact, when I was researching this, that's one of the reasons why I bought the liquid tears. What do they call artificial tears? to put in your eyes so that, in case anything happens, if you have dry eyes from an activity like that, or dry eyes from 100-degree temperature here. Do you see where my hometown, El Paso, today it was its 32nd consecutive day over 110 degrees? Unbelievable. My brother-in-law is in San Angelo, and he was telling us that they've had a couple days over 114. There was one day they were the hottest city in the U.S. It was only 106 here today, so we're pretty happy. Forgive my congestion and everything, please. Of course, we mentioned it. The year without a summer, there's going to be a dramatic temperature drop because the gases are preventing the sun from hitting the earth, and then in the immediate area of where the volcano is, of course, a lot of them are very high mountains. There can be glacial activity around those peaks. There can be snowfall or anything else. So when that happens, you're going to have mudslides and flooding, of course. Then along with that, you're going to have the caustic effects of the sulfuric acid chewing up the dams. So you're going to have uncontrollable water, or mudslides is what I prefer to call them. And so that's just kind of the things that happen. So what can you do before the eruption? Just create a plan. Go to those sites that I told you. What's the probability you're going to get hit by? Take a look at the prevailing winds. Take a look at what are the threats near you. Are there any volcanoes that are close to you that you need to be concerned with? Are you concerned with Long Valley or Yellowstone? What's the ashfall level going to be? Go to those sites that I showed you, that I shared with you. Prepare an emergency kit, of course, 2 of them, a hunker down kit, as well as a bug out kit. If we take a look at the ashfall, here's Lee's rationale. I'm not saying this is scientific. I'm not saying this is how you should do it. I'm just saying this is how Lee is doing it. For me to get from here to my hometown of El Paso, it's going to take me about 10 hours driving 75 to 80 miles an hour. Okay. So, and that's got 1 or 2 hours of stops. So let's call it 8 hours at 70 miles an hour, 560 miles, 600 miles between here and El Paso. And so that means that if the wind is 40 miles an hour, then that's going to take approximately 16, 18 hours for that to get anything that happens in El Paso weather-wise to get here. Okay. So I'm going to have plenty of advance notice of the ashfall from either Long Valley or from Mount St. Helens or from Yellowstone or any other major volcano here on the continental United States. So I imagine I'll probably have about 24 hours worth of advance notice before the ashfall hits. So that means that I can then make plans. If it's spring or fall, when I'm going to have heavy ashfall here, I might want to bug out. If it's summer or winter, when we aren't going to have heavy ashfall here, it might be best to bug out, to hunker down. So make your plans accordingly. Get the facts and then make your plans based on those. Hello, Matt. Welcome. Thank you. I will try to do that. Yes, I would strongly recommend that. As a matter of fact, we're going to talk about masks here in just a minute. So number 3, stay informed, monitor. So I showed you the USGS site. They will tell you about earthquakes and volcanoes. You might want to also keep on your cell phone, get an app that tells you about local emergencies, and you can get that from ready.gov. They will give you, some alerts as far as weather hazards and things like that. I'm getting constantly updated with extreme heat weather warnings. And of course, our local government is telling us we're in stage 3 water restrictions. So, we're having major water issues here. This area is the #1 growth area in the United States. It has been for about 20 years. And we just don't have the infrastructure to support the number of people who are moving here. And they say that the Austin metropolitan area, when I first moved here, Austin was like number 28 in size of cities in the U.S. And right now it's number 11. So it's gone from 28 to 11 in just the last 20 some odd years. Okay. So stay informed, get some good apps on your radios, on your cell phone. Make sure you stay informed of what's going on. Develop your evacuation strategy. Secure your home. If there is going to be significant ashfall, okay, it's going to fall on the roof of your house. And that most roofs are not built, especially here in Central Texas, to take the weight of snow, let alone the weight of ash. So if you're in one of those areas where they're predicting 12 to 18 inches of ash, imagine that's basically the same thing as just throwing 18 inches of sand on the top of your house. That's your roof is not going to be able to bear that weight. What are you going to do to reinforce that if you plan on hunkering down? If you realize that you're in a major ashfall area and your roof is not strong enough, how are you going to evacuate? What's your safest evacuation route? So what about home air conditioning and ash? Turn your air conditioner off. You don't want to suck any of that stuff inside your house. You don't want to run any air. Now, we have, and I don't know how long it'll last, simply because, as I said, we have the whole home solar. So if there's ash fall on top of the on top of my solar system, or if there's still ash aloft and blocking the sun, I'm not getting any solar. We do have an inside the house air conditioner that's good for one room, and that's primarily for the comfort of one family member. But I would not suck in any exterior air whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it's going to be one of the things we're going to talk about here in just a minute. So consider reinforcing your roof. Prepare a way to do it. Prepare for power outages. Make sure you charge up anything and everything you can, and make sure it has full power. Learn basic first aid. Build a water supply. So that's one of the things that Diana 2 is talking about. What are some of the things you can do for a water supply? I constantly talk about get yourself a water bob. That's that basically membrane or bladder that you're going to put inside your bathtub, and fill it up with water from your bathtub spigot. Then you have 135 to 150 gallons inside your bathtub that you can use. Every time we finish one of these bottles, that I drink one of these bottles of soda, well, it's not soda, it's sweet water. And every time I finish one, we wash it and rip the label off, and then we fill it with regular tap water and store it. We're at the point now to where we can't find any place to store any more bottles. I might be able to get a couple more underneath the chair here. Maybe a half dozen to a dozen, and that might be it. And then we are tapped out as far as water. Of course, I've also got the 350-gallon rain catchment system over here, and I've got the 55-gallon rain catchment system over here. But I think most people, your best bet's going to be fill up your water bottles. Make sure you have 2-liter bottles of soda that you've drank. Fill those up with water. Soda bottles, 16 ounce, 18 ounce, what are they nowadays? 1-liter bottles, whatever. Fill those up with water. Rinse them out, wash them out good before you fill them up with water. Do whatever you can to store as much water as you can. Depending upon how far away you are from the volcano is how much time you're going to have to do all these things. Make a checklist. What are all the things that I need to do? Build a food supply. Food will be disrupted for probably a year. So, we're going to have major shortages as far as beef, chicken, turkey, anything of the pigs, pork. Those are going to be non-existent for at least a year, and then anything we get is probably going to be imported. Fresh fish. Most of our rivers and lakes are going to be contaminated with either sulfuric acid or with mud from the ashfall. It's going to stifle out all of the fish. So we aren't going to have proteins. The other thing is we're not going to have any crops. So, be aware of the fact that it's going to take about a year to get that ash integrated back into the soil, where it will be very fertile. It's extremely fertile. Once you get it mixed into the earth, then things grow back at a rapid pace. But think of all the wildlife that's going to be lost, and think of all the crops we're going to lose for that first year. Also, think of a way you're going to cook and heat either your water or your food. Maintain a fuel supply so that if you have to, you can run a generator. Check what your insurance is, because sometimes there are insurance stipulations that you cannot store more than, say, 10 gallons worth of gas in your home. If something happens prior to SHTF and you have ammunition and gas are the same thing. If you have too much stored and they consider it to be a cause of the loss, then they can deny payment on the insurance for your home if it were to burn down. So make sure you're in compliance with your gasoline, flammables, and explosives restrictions in your terms and covenants. So make sure you have all your all your important documents together, and then educate yourself about what volcanic ash is, its overall effects, and how to protect yourself during an eruption. Now let's talk about what you're going to do during and after. What a great idea. Yes, so ash will cover. The answer is a qualified no. So as long as the cell towers have electricity, your cell phone will work. Now, remember that there's two cell towers that are involved here, the one that's transmitting and receiving to and from you, and the one that's transmitting and receiving to and from your receiver at the other end. So if there could be as little as one, that may be if it's a local call. Like right now, if I called my wife, she's in the next bedroom. So that would go to the same tower that would transmit to her that's receiving from me. So as long as that one tower is up, we're good to go. That would probably cover most of the geographical area here in the suburban area we're in. On the other hand, if I wanted to call my daughter in New Jersey, now I've got more than one cell phone or more than one cell tower involved. So if there's a break anywhere in that chain, then that communication is going to fail. That means that if their cell towers are covered, if the gas generators don't have enough oxygen coming in for the internal combustion engines, there's a whole bunch of reasons. There's a litany of reasons why they may fail, and so you may want to make plans for that. What to do during and afterwards? Follow the instructions of your safety coordinators. So make sure you stay aware of the emergency alert system in your area. Here, probably the biggest one in our local area is KLBJ, Lady Bird Johnson's radio station. Not Lyndon Baines, but Lady Bird. And that's at 590 AM and 99.7 FM. Just one second. I got to get rid of some of this congestion. Okay, thank you for that tolerance. I greatly appreciate it. Stay calm. You know, we're talking about this now so you can develop a plan. Once you get your plan and you feel secure that you know what you're doing and you know how to handle it and you've got things under control, then you can stay calm and you don't have to panic. And you will survive while others around you are losing their minds. Stay indoors. Okay. Right now, on your purchase list, see if you can't get all kinds of tape, duct tape, masking tape, whatever. Seal off any way that air can get into your house. You don't want that silica coming inside and mixing with the breathing air that you're doing on the inside. You want to make sure that you have clean air on the inside. Turn off your air conditioner, turn off your heater. You don't want to suck that external air inside your house and bring it into your people. Beware of the exhaust vents that you have in your restrooms and also in your kitchen. Okay, cover those because if it is an open vent so that things can go out, but that also means that if there's high wind activity, you can have things blowing in. So you want to make sure you cover that. Cover it with plastic, cover it with tin foil, aluminum foil, and then tape it shut. You know, make sure you're sealing all of that off. Wear protective equipment, especially if you have to go outside. Kind of like that nuclear protection fallout kit that I recommended that you have. The poncho, the goggles, the N95 mask, gloves, booties, and things like that. You don't want to bring any of that stuff inside your house. So you'll find a way where you can doff all that outdoors and then only come indoors clean. If you're inside and you have the opportunity to do it, when I first got into prepping, gosh, a long time ago, my next door neighbor had a cinder block fallout shelter. We were afraid that the rockets in Cuba were going to come our way, and so the air filter that we had was a hand cranked air filter. and he upgraded it, and we thought it was so cool because he brought this stationary bicycle, and you took the wheel, and then it had a pulley system that attached to that hand crank, and you could ride a bicycle, and that would be what would suck the air in through the air filter and provide you with clean air, and all that kinds of stuff. We may have to do the same thing inside our house. What can we do inside our house to get things through a HEPA filter or an air filter to purify the air that's already inside your home? Make sure you ration your food and water. Understand what it is you're going to be doing. Understand the limitations of your cooking capabilities. If you don't have indoor cooking capabilities, remember you're going to have carbon monoxide. Where are you? Where are you? Should be right here. Oh, there it is. So I have one of these in every room. This is a carbon monoxide detector. So make sure you have a carbon monoxide detector close to anything you're going to have that's going to be burning or producing any kind of combustion, so you know that you have carbon monoxide, and you can get rid of it if necessary. One small secret: carbon monoxide is slightly heavier than air. And that means that it's going to fill up down below first and then come up to the level where you are. That's why if you saw my carbon monoxide level detector is actually on the seat to my Eckbankgruppe. So it's going to be about, I'm going to say 18 to 20 inches off the floor. And that's probably going to be the ideal height where you want to keep your carbon monoxide detectors. And that way you know that you're safe, at least up to your waist. Let me check chat here. I wanted to touch on that. Great idea, Little Lone Prepper. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, the especially in the crawl space, also underneath the stairs going down into the basement, if you have access to that, there's all kinds of great things you can do. Great, thank you for that reminder. Great idea. Yeah, I think she has. It's very apparent. Oh, thank you. I'm just happy that I'm alive every day. I wake up every morning and just happy that I wake up. Golly, there's so many people who didn't make it as far as I have that are friends of mine, and it seems like I lose more and more every day. So I'm just thankful to be here every single day. Golly, and I went to a new church last Sunday, and it was what an experience. Just I wanted to travel and see different churches here in Central Texas. This is a Czech Moravian church, and so they even do the service in Czech. So it was really nifty, neato. How's that for a 1970s type of a lingo, huh? Isn't that the truth? Hello, Jason in Virginia. And okay, so where are we? Let me see. Stay hydrated. So conserve food and water, stay hydrated. Asphalt, of course, is going to be very, very dry. So everything around you is going to be extremely dry. That's why I bought the eye drops, the liquid eye drops, because I want to make sure I keep my eyes hydrated. Get nasal saline wash. I think you've probably seen it at least once a month. I'm going to buy another can or another. I use the Nasacort squeeze bottle. Helen likes the saline that's under pressure in a can, but you can use that to wash your nose out every once in a while, once a week at least, and that's going to keep all that hydrated. It's going to keep it clean and nice and everything else. If there is any silica, hopefully it'll wash it out as well. What do they call them? Artificial tears for your eyes. Make sure you stay hydrated. Drink lots and lots of liquids. You might think about getting some extra additives for your things like liquid IV. Nutrient Survival has some fantastic products to add to water to enhance your overall nutritional value of the water that you are drinking. So consider, just getting some extra supplements in your water and stay hydrated. Protect your eyes. Wear eyewear such as goggles. Protect your eyes from that silica and dust. Stay informed about asphalt patterns. That's that windy, every day check on it, see where the asphalt pattern is. Same thing with those maps that I showed you. Take care of your respiratory health. So, for example, for me, I get to do these 3 times a day or twice a day. I got this one. Let me see, this one here, yeah, and then this one's once a day. Spiriva, I think it is. No, yeah, and then Advair is twice a day, and it's it's the price I pay for smoking for 41 years. Thank God I finally gave it up. Make sure you have a way to get clean water and source it, and then help others as much as you can. And don't forget to be cautious of aftershocks. So just as you think things may have cleared up, you could have an aftershock with a tornado or, volcano or another earthquake. So that's pretty much what I've got for you, and I hope that is of some value to you this evening. Let me take one more look here, see if there's anything new on the USGS map. Latest earthquakes. No, just that there is one new one, a 2.5 northwest of Pinnacle, California. Wow, there's one all the way up here in Fairbanks at the Denali National Park, Alaska. Okay, so that all is looking good. So no major earthquakes or anything to worry about right now, or volcanoes. But I just want you to be prepared. Also, I want you to, I am, if I have a fear, Franklin Horton, gosh, I'm loving these books. As a matter of fact, Helen's into them now too. She just finished one today, and we were talking about it. But anyhow, he's got 3 different books. This one, Borrowed World, is pretty much. I've got to get a copy of it to Prepping with Sarge, because this is mental health workers in Southwest Virginia, and he's a mental health worker in South Carolina, not far from there, and just unbelievably good stuff. This one is basically prepping. So this focuses on, talking about the gear that they had with them and how they make use of things, how they create things, checklists, developing checklists, and all the other kinds of stuff. The other 2 series that I've read so far are the Locker 9 series, and that's basically the story of a young lady who's away in college, and her dad sets up a locker, a rental space, and he has all of the prepper gear in there for her, so that if anything happens, she can go get it and then make her way home. As a result of that, there's another series that interconnects with that at book 2, and that's called The Mad Mick, and that's got a lot of good prepping stuff in it as well. But he says this one's really focused on prepping, which reminds me, speaking of fantastic books and Franklin Horton, next Monday, so 1 week from tonight, we're going to be meeting an hour early, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, because we will be interviewing Mr. Horton. Okay. And so he will be here on the channel. We'll talk to him for about an hour about his books. And I'm still collecting any kind of questions you might have of him. I know that I know somebody recommended him to me, and thank you, whoever that was. I know there's at least one other person out there who reads his books. Phenomenal books, great books. Oh no, Little Lone Prepper. Do me a favor and send me an email with his name. And so every day at 3:00, I pray the Chaplet of Divine Mercy. And at 4:00, I pray the Rosary. So I will make sure that I include him in my prayers tomorrow. And, the Lord be with him, and may his soul rest in peace. Triple G, yes, absolutely. That's what I recommend everybody have. Low battery. I've got to connect power to my portable here real quick. There we go. Okay, we're back on house power. Yes, so I strongly recommend everybody keep N95 masks in your vehicle, with you, in your bug out bag, in your get home bag. I don't care which bag it is, keep several N95 masks with you at all times. That's probably one of the best prepper tools we're going to have in the event of either nuclear fallout or ash fall from a volcanic incident. They're also going to be fairly, not totally effective, but I mean, it will help a little bit in case of some other things like smoke. Then you really want to have a respirator, something like what Mira Safety sells. Uh, a full face mask with filters for smoke and carcinogens and things like that, and for biological and chemical agents. But for everything else, the N95 is going to be about as good as you're going to find. And I think that'll do you extremely well. Um, yeah, and remember, that was one of the first things we saw go short, critically short, during the incidents in 2020. Um, Hello, amazing grandma. I had a dream. I had a dream that they came in to give me last rites, and that we did the last rites in Latin, and I was helping the priest do that. Uh, just one of those quirks, you start something as a kid, and of course, when I was younger, we had the Latin Mass, and so everything was done in Latin. So I can still pretty much do the entire Mass in Latin because I was an altar boy. So I went to Mass every day, 7 days a week for probably 7 years, and so and doing it in Latin, so doing the exchange with the priest, and so I could probably do it. I might make some mistakes. Yeah, probably would. Yeah, but I can do most of it. Um, Hello, KP Heathen. Welcome. Is KP Kitchen Police like in the Army? uh, Let me see. Okay, nothing else. So we'll kind of call it a little bit short this evening. Let me grab my Bible. And first, I want to start off with Numbers. So let's go to number 6. There we go. That should be it right there. No, that's the Shemitah. Don't want the Shemitah. And that's Nadab and Abihu. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers. Come on, Numbers. Where are you? There we go. Number 6, 24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you, and the Lord let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look upon you kindly and give you strength. I give you peace. I'm sorry. So remember, we're all in this together so we can come out the other side together. Please be kind, polite, and respectful to each other because togetherness is the key. Next week, 7 o'clock, interview with Franklin Horton. And I'm really looking forward to that. Just phenomenal series of books. We're very lucky we've got some of the authors that we've had. We've got Stephen Smith with his series, the Stonemont series. We've got A. American with his Going Home series. And don't forget that we'll do his, we're going to be doing Conflicting Home, which is volume 9 of his series. And that's going to be Thursday, the 27th. So that's a week from this coming Thursday. And that's going to be our book club book for this month. I think probably what I want to do is once we finish with the A. American series, we're probably going to start on the Locker 9 series from Franklin Horton. So take care, everybody. Please keep your head on a swivel. Strange things are happening. I do believe that there are Chinese agents here whose intent is to disrupt things here in the United States to a point where we can't see what they're doing. We won't be able to put the one and one together. But just keep your head on a swivel. Watch what's going on around you and stay safe. Get some N95 filters and keep them in your car. Everybody, take care. Have a wonderful week, and please stay safe. Bye-bye.